Hello there friends, CSnews Live here. In today's video, Twistzz and Liquid scandal. Imperial Female allegedly skipped tournaments on purpose, and the playoffs and the grand final of the last ever IEM Katowice. Plus plenty of other exciting news from the world of CS2. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. We shall cut straight to the most interesting part, because it turns out Imperial Female might not be playing fair. After competing in a women's tournament as well as the play-in stages of Blast Bounty and IEM Katowice, the team suddenly started forfeiting matches in various other tournaments and qualifiers. So far, they've already skipped 2 matches against Parivision, plus games against DMS and Vamos, and there's really one logical explanation: they just don't want to lose their Valve ranking points. See, if they maintain a high enough rank, they could secure direct invites to Tier 1 events, where they'd face teams like Navi and Spirit. The issue here is that sitting out matches won't cost them ranking points, or at worst, they only lose a minimal amount, which they can easily make up by playing in women's only tournaments. And that's where things get weird. Valve's own rules state that women's events shouldn't affect ranking points, since invites aren't based on rankings. But this loophole has existed for a while now, and Valve still hasn't addressed it. Hopefully this gets fixed soon, because right now it's an unfair situation. While other teams have to grind through brutal best-of-ones, Imperial Female can just skip matches and still advance straight to play-ins. Although here I must admit that teams and orgs are trying to do something with the situation. As HLTV reports, a group of teams has written an open letter to Valve, urging the developer to fine-tune the tournament system that came into being in 2025. Arguing that there are significant flaws that might push orgs out of the game. Meanwhile, HLTV's Striker reports Valve wants forfeits to be included, and they could very well soon start counting as any other loss on the VRS without warning. So I guess, my friends, something's really brewing, and I'm excited to see what's gonna go next for the CS2 scene. But there's also another drama that we could look at. Just a few days ago, Zeus, the former coach of Liquid, appeared on a podcast with Thorin and Maui Snake, where he dropped a lot of insider information about Twistzz. So according to Zeus, the Canadian wasn't cut out to be an IGL, and his conflicts with Cadian were more about personal issues rather than the in-game disagreements. He also revealed that after EPL Season 19, Twistzz wanted to join Vitality. But that's not even the biggest part. Zeus claimed that both he and Cadian were kicked out because of Twistzz. On top of that, Twistzz was against bringing back a Liege and didn't support testing Donk, even though the coach had already found a sponsor to cover the transfer. Guys, can you imagine what was it about, like $6–10 million? Anyways, the podcast also touched his relationships with former FaZe teammates, and for example how Skulls joined Liquid and much more. Twistzz himself didn't respond to any of this, but his wife did. She stepped in to clear things up and also shared her thoughts on Zeus. So she said that Zeus is basically stuck in 2016, and he was the one to push for Skulls to join Liquid. She also claimed that he wanted to replace Ultimate with Shui, essentially removing the Opper at all and bringing in a third IGL. As for the supposed beef between Cadian and Twistzz, she said that there was no direct conflict, at least not until Cadian started going after Skulls and just losing it, while Zeus was basically covering it all up. And regarding Twistz's connection with FaZe players, she confirmed that he talked to Kerrigan about the IGL role and even went to basketball games with Rups and Brokey. But my friends, I don't see that as a threat, to the team or the org. So who's in the right here? It's hard to say honestly, and verifying these claims is even harder. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and follow our channel right now, and also our Twitter account, as the link is in the description. Thanks! And just before we jump into IEM Katowice, we just had to talk about S1mple, who was recently spotted in Spain, cruising around in his Ferrari. According to the person who filmed it, the car costs about 25% of what Falcons were paying him per month, but that's just speculation. By the way, S1mple also mentioned recently that he really wants to start streaming again, but he is having trouble getting the verification code on his phone, like freely, but spoiler alert, considering how Navi's sniper wonderful played at IEM Katowice, maybe they should really consider bringing S1mple back. Who knows what 2025 the crazy year will unfold. And finally, let's talk about the results of the last ever IEM Katowice. Wait, last IEM Katowice? Yeah, you heard that right. Why? Well, according to Maui Snake, his trusted sources close to the organizers revealed that the next winter the tournament will still happen in Poland, but it might not be held at Spodek Arena. On top of that, it could even run under a different name, since Intel, the main sponsor of IEM events, is dealing with serious financial issues. So while Katowice might still host a major CS:GO event, the legendary IEM Katowice, as we know it, could be over. But I remind you, that's all rumors which were said by Maui Snake. Guys, and now let's talk about the playoffs and its matches, as it kicked off with two teams who have been making waves in the late 2024 and early 2025, the Mongols versus Eternal Fire, and oh my god, it was a clash. The Turks picked their signature map, Anubis, but to everyone's surprise, they got completely shut down by the Mongols, even though Senzu was playing injured. At one point, the Mongols were up 7-2 with 9-10 and Blitz absolutely demolishing Eternal Fire. By halftime it was 8-4, and after the side switch, the Mongols only extended their lead, eventually closing it out, and you know what? Ending Eternal Fire's winning streak on Anubis. So much for being unstoppable on this map. Next up was Mirage, picked by the Mongols, and the start was almost identical to Anubis. The Mongols just steamrolled through round after round, cruising to 8-4 at halftime. At that point, it looked like they just needed to finish the job. Eternal Fire had already been mentally shaken after the brutal first map, but the Turks had other plans.
The prettiest of purchases, and there's some punch from Xantares. That's what you needed to see. So opening kills aren't coming their way, he needs to be able to find some space and get a multi, and that's exactly what he delivered for the 5th round.
They fought back from 10-4, they forced overtimes, and it was absolute cinema. Both teams traded rounds back and forth, but in the third OTs, the Mongols finally came out on top. It was a brutal loss for Eternal Fire, but a statement win from the Mongols. Next up, Team Spirit faced off against Virtus.Pro, and while Spirit were already considered the stronger team, VP, to add to that, had to play with a stand-in. Instead of Flamus, Mir was filling in. And from the very start, it was clear that this was going to be an easy one for the Dragons. On map 1, Train, that VP picked, Spirit completely dominated, 10-2 on the city side, and then Dong just sealed the deal with a pistol round ace. Next was Ancient, Spirit's home turf, and, well, even though VP put up a slightly better fight here, they had no chance, to be honest. Despite some resistance, Spirit closed it out and sent the Bears packing. So after their big win against Eternal Fire, the Mongols went up against a fired-up Vitality, and from the start it was clear that this was going to be a tough one. The Mongols picked Mirage, but Vitality came out swinging. They won the first 5 rounds.
Huge catch, Blitz leads by example. Mezzi overextends into that 9-10 orb. Now it gets uncomfortable for Vitality. Held by Blitz, it's all Blitz! Seizes control of this one, a 1 versus 3.
To their credit, the Mongols fought back, they even tied the score, but Vitality still edged it out. And after the side switch, Zaivu just dominated. 4 straight rounds, and they closed the map.
Mazinho in his own game, Mazinho down! Time becoming a factor, gets his spot, and he composed to close! Robin Cool makes Mirage Vitalities!
Nuke was Vitality's pick, and the Mongols actually had a solid start. But then Vitality flipped the switch, they won 8 rounds in a row and completely shut down Mongols' momentum. Vitality only needed to finish the job, and they eventually did. Even though they had 4 straight rounds, hit the match point, the Mongols refused to give up, clawed back 5, but then unfortunately it wasn't enough. Vitality were just stronger. The Mongols had a decent run, so my respect. Next up, Navi versus Team Spirit, a revenge match.
Ladies and gentlemen, is it Team Spirit? Is it Spirit? Is it now the? On the count of three, Spodek, are you ready? Let's get it on.
Map 1, Mirage. Right from round 1, Donk made it clear. He was ready to destroy Na'Vi.
Still round. Donk starts to charge at him. Donk starts to run him down. Wonderful's heroics might not be enough here. Is Donk still in the picture? Plays further forward. It's a bit more from Donk. 2v2. Wonderful thought he'd done enough, that this pistol round was in the bag, but Donk is still a threat. Killer of dreams.
At one point, it even felt like Na'Vi weren't playing at all. Spirit just dominated and got to 8-4. After the side switch, Na'Vi launched a micro comeback and won the first 3 rounds, but the moment Spirit got their economy in order, they just shut Na'Vi down completely, and they got the first map without breaking a sweat. Next map, Dust 2, and on their pick, Spirit just again came out swinging. They quickly took it to 6-2, but this time Na'Vi found a way to stabilize their defense, securing the last 4 rounds of the half, and even in the score. After the side switch, Na'Vi took control and they got to 10-7. But Spirit weren't giving up on their map pick that easily. They fought back hard, they forced overtimes, and that's where Donk took over.
Wonderful not looking backwards, Wonderful's not looking. Donk's been delivered a free kill. Now he starts to close the distance. In the back line, it's all about Donk. Quick jiggle, but not sending it too far. Donk keeps the pressure on. Na'Vi answer back as best they can, but constantly looking over their shoulder. Demonic from Donk, trying to give Spirit that.
And from there, Spirit just closed it out. The craziest part here is that the entire arena was against Spirit. The crowd was obviously cheering for Na'Vi and were trying to give them hints. But ironically, those helpful tips ended up working in Spirit's favor instead. And so the grand finals of IEM Katowice 2025 was set. Team Spirit, the defending champions, against Team Vitality, someone who had been waiting forever to make it this far. To put it into perspective, Apex had to grind for 11 years just to finally step into this Spodek Arena stage. Both teams had something to prove, but only one could take the trophy. The grand final kicked off on Dust 2, Spirit's pick. But things couldn't have started worse for them. Vitality dominated the early rounds, and they just shut down almost every attack. Spirit somehow managed to scrape together a few rounds, but nothing seemed to be working. Then came round 6, and that's when Donk pulled out his deagle and went absolutely nuclear.
It's a guarantee, the Donk dig. It's enabled a plant, but is it a round? Oh, it certainly should be now. Presented with resistance for Vitality, and across, Shiro, hasn't connected, they will get across. Time-sensitive mission, Donk's deed does 4, and they could still lose the round. He has the gear, has the smoke, it's an AWP for Shiro. This gets awkward, this gets really awkward, really quick. He's spinning around him, painted circles, shut the fuse. Donk's deagles mean nothing.
Almost secured an ace. Thankfully, Mazzy had other plans, and he managed to steal the round away. That moment woke Spirit up, and despite some struggles, they managed to close the half at 5-7, keeping the game within reach. Although, after the side switch, Spirit completely disappeared. It looked like they had no answers for Vitality's T-side. They were getting rolled over as Apex and his squad cruised to victory. So, eventually, Vitality took the first map. Next up was Nuke, picked by Vitality, and once again, Spirit found themselves in a serious trouble. Vitality's T-side was flawless. They effortlessly secured 8 rounds in the first half and put Spirit on the back foot before the side switch, and I remind you that this is the CT-oriented side. Obviously, when Vitality moved to defense, it was over. They won it, barely breaking a sweat. To cap it off, ZywOo ended the map with a quadro, securing the win for Vitality. 2-0 in the series, and with match points secured, Vitality were just one map away from the IEM Katowice trophy. The third and final map was Mirage, picked by Spirit, and at this point they had to win to stay in the series. But once again, Spirit had a rough start. It was clear that they weren't feeling the game, while Vitality, fueled by the roaring crowd, were on fire. It just felt and looked like Vitality were playing against a tier 2 team. Still, at some point, Magix stepped up. He clutched a crucial round that helped Spirit stabilize. It was 8-4. After the side switch, things only got worse for Spirit. Vitality won 3 straight rounds, and it was 11-4. But just when it looked like the final was over, Magix turned up again, dropping an ace and pumping life back into Team Spirit.
Chopper and Magix, good shooting from Magix. He's been holding his own, doing what he can with health, and he's the one that's going to bring the fight to Magix. Magix prevails. An important kill, but it's still not the round. Taiwu posted and delivers onto Chopper. Magix, can you really give us the ace clutch? Just to keep Spirit in it to win it. He certainly could. Missed shot onto Zaiwu. Zaiwu down. It's Magic's round. Single-handedly.
Fueled by that momentum, Spirit pulled off an insane comeback and they fought their way to 11-11. But right when it seemed like they were doing it, Vitality woke up. They snapped out of their losing streak, they regained control and finished Spirit off. They closed the map and secured the IEM Katowice 2025 title. I couldn't believe it. Vitality, oh my god, so well done. Ideal. Perfect. Not a single mistake. But also, on the other hand, Team Spirit losing 0-3? Unbelievable. Obviously, Zaiwu was named the MVP, officially tying S1mple in career MVP awards. By the way, you can drop in the comments below who you think the real GOAT is, Zaiwu or S1mple. Apex finally achieved his dream after 11 years of grinding to reach Spodek. And of course, he had a few words for the haters who wanted to send him to retirement. Meanwhile, the players of Team Spirit were visibly crushed. Shiro admitted that the team was really missing his presence and struggled without him. Dong tried to stay optimistic, saying, I will quote, "There are no victories without losses." Their coach Holy took the whole responsibility for the loss. He said that Vitality outplayed him as a coach more than the team itself. Meanwhile, Zontex didn't even keep his second place medal. He handed it to a fan who was waiting outside a hotel. Guys, did you like the IEM Katowice? Drop your suggestions and thoughts and feelings and emotions in the comments below. It will be very interesting to read. But now, in the never-ending world of esports, all eyes are on the next big tournament, PGL Cluj-Napoca, where we're expecting another thrilling grand final. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I am not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.